Biz Bite. I'm just about to let our guests into the room, so hang tight while everybody else joins us. Fantastic. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning on this somewhat snowy, still winter, kind of chilly morning, but I'm glad you made it. Today is March 18th. Can you believe it? And thank you so much for joining us. So we are right at 11 a.m. by my time. And I know we have a very short time frame to give you a lot of information. So first of all, I am Michelle McFadden. I am the Business Development Advisor at the Regional Business Support Network, funded by Community Futures Central Alberta and the Town of Olds and Invest Olds. So I am really happy to be here. RBSN offers free services and consulting services to, sorry, I got a little distracted there, to our amazing business owners in the area. Today, I'm super excited to share with you the magic of AI for business, what it can do, what it cannot do, and how do we step into it and get over some, some of those anxious thoughts about, will I do it wrong? What will be shared? Is it accessible? All of those things. I'm super excited to have some fantastic guests. So today, just a few housekeeping. If you haven't already muted yourself, if you're not one of our valued presenters, then please do so. We will be taking Q&A at the end of the presentation. So I will simply ask that you hang tight until the end to ask your questions. Please don't put them in the chat. That can be a little distracting. But raise your hand for Q&A at the end. So we can plow through so much information. So our wonderful guests include Joy Caven from AFSC, and she'll be starting off our crew with some great information, followed by Kim Free from Small Town Girl Promotions, and Lance Douglas from IAPSOF. I hope I said that right, Lance.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. I'm going to blame my mangled Canadian-Australian accent on that one. So with that said, I'm going to pass the microphone to Joy to start us off, and let's learn a little bit about what is AI and how do we use it in business.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joy. I'm with AFSC, and I'm excited to present kind of what I like to call the beginner version or the introductory version of AI. So for those of you that haven't really touched AI, or you've heard about it, but you don't really know much, what I tell you might resonate more. If you're a seasoned pro, wait till the other two. They're way more impressive. But AI. What is AI? So AI for most people, and the most common use is what you're all hearing, which is ChatGTP, or you can actually just type in chat.com. They own that domain as well. It's like a smart helper that can chat with you just like texting a friend. You can ask it questions and AI will give you the answers, gives you some ideas, and can help you write things. It's not perfect, like your friends who you're texting, but it's really good as a time saver if you are not someone who types or writes for a living, or even if you do, to help you. Think of AI as your personal assistant. So it can help you with writing and communication. So things like write me a polite email to a customer about a late payment. Give me a short thank you message for my clients. It can help you with planning and organizing. I am currently helping to plan a meeting, and I wrote all the details into ChatGTP and asked it to come up with a schedule. And you can ask it to put it in a table. And so it can do that. It can actually help you create schedules. And then if you don't like what it gave you, you can have it adjust and just have to be specific. You can also, as a busy working mom or dad, you can also have it recommend meal ideas. You can tell it what you have in your fridge and say, come up with a meal idea, or here's what we want to buy, or here's what we want to make for for supper. Here's what's in my fridge and my pantry. Write me a grocery list. In terms of ideas and brainstorming, you can treat it like a personal assistant in, I want to do and you'll hear the word prompting. If you've never heard the word prompt, you prompt AI or you prompt chat.com by kind of just typing with this, kind of like an opening introductory sentence to a friend when you're texting them back and forth. And you can say, I am trying so hard to come up with some ideas and I need your help. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'd like. So very similar to the way that you would have a conversation with a friend. Another idea, give me 5 fun event themes for a fundraiser. You can also have it help you with text messages. So I love this. And I know we're going to talk specific examples later, Michelle, but my favorite story still is that my husband and I had a conversation over a 2 or 3 day period where he only responded with what ChatGPT actually recommended he say back to me. And I don't know if he was trying to start a fight, end a fight, but it was hilarious. And I only called him out when he called me babe, and because he never calls me babe. So I was able to call him out. And that was the first time I realized that he actually wasn't the one writing the text messages. So it's a really great tool for helping you figure out a great way to text people back. If you're trying to say this, but maybe your brain says this, but you want it to be a little bit nicer, but the words coming out of your mouth are a little bit less nice. So then you can say, can you nice up this text message? And then one of the last things I want to leave you with for my part is as a study buddy. So if you are currently trying to learn something or you're interested in something, the study buddy help is Notebook LM. Notebook LM, you can actually just Google it, and funny enough, it's a Google product. And it is a really great resource. You can pop PDFs and websites into it, and it will just source those documents to help create some study notes. And it's even as fancy as it will create like a 20-minute podcast. So if you're someone who learns by listening, it can create a podcast, and it is impressive how realistic the 2 people in the podcast are. So just as a final thought from my piece, AI is a really good tool, and the more you use it, the better you get. The more specific you are, the better answers you get. And the more you play with it, the more you'll realize all the other ways that you can use it. And if you haven't jumped in and just started an account and done the free version, just do it and play with it. Pretend it's like a fun game and start there.
Awesome. Thanks, Joy. I am so excited that you mentioned those prompts, both personally and professionally. I actually have used ChatGPT to write a Facebook happy birthday post to my partner to make it sound romantic, so that was fun too. But regarding business, entrepreneurs who are in the room and watching this recording, we are being flooded by AI models right now. There is nothing coming faster to the market than Google Gemini. And I just learned a new one that's associated X, or what was Twitter, from Lance when we were talking this morning. ChatGPT. We have Microsoft Copilot. There is AI on social media platforms. So they are coming harder and fast. And I know Rebecca Henderson, who's in the room, sent me a message the other day. There's another platform that will actually detect if AI wrote an article for you. It's an AI that detects AI. It's crazy how they're flooding to the market right now. So we're not being super specific about what platforms to use, because most of the platforms work very similarly to each other. So I just wanted to throw that out there. No matter whether you're using Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, ChatGPT, there are many, many options out there for you. So with that said, I'm going to pass the microphone to Kim Free from Small Town Girl Promotions.
Hi, everybody. Some familiar faces in the room. Nice to see you all. Kim Free, Small Town Girl Promotions. We support small business owners in getting found. mostly with online or digital marketing, such as helping you with your social media, website, get found on Google, that kind of thing. So my topic is what AI can't do. And I'm going to come at you a little bit later with some examples like Joy provided about my personal use and business use of AI. I want to preface it by saying I use AI. I find it to be very helpful, but my topic right now is what it can't do. So one example that I have is AI can really struggles to fully replace human insight, human feeling, creativity, or expertise. Well, expertise, it mostly has it covered. But AI is not a human. It is a language, mostly language model. So if you're expecting it to really eloquently describe or interpret human feeling or human behavior, I personally believe that humans are best at that. So from my perspective, and I'll say this again, although I use AI a lot, and yes, I use AI for marketing tasks, I feel that marketing is very much human to human and very much based on human feeling and human behavior. So I would just put a little orange flag there and say that maybe you shouldn't be using AI completely for marketing, because I feel it's important to not forget that human piece. One example I have, and I read this several months ago, somebody made a comment that said, when I read a social media post that feels like it's made by AI, so there's certain cues that those of us that use AI might find, like that rocket ship emoji that's way overused, or the long dash, or too many emojis. There's certain flags. If I see a social media post or a blog post that looks like AI wrote it, I personally don't want to take the time to read it. If you, like, the perspective is, if you can't take the time to write something to me from a human to a human, then why should I take the time to read it? So I just wanted to throw that out there. Another example, AI can sound and feel very confident when it's screwing up. So I had this experience about a month ago. I was working with some spreadsheet of user data that I was inputting into a website. So I had 330 some people. I had their first name, last name, address, phone number, email address, and some other data. And I had it in PDF form and I needed it in spreadsheet form so I could upload it to a website. Anyways, so I had it like extrapolate the data and put it into the spreadsheet format that I needed, but it kept making up fake information. So it was like, it was Bob and Sally Smith from Calgary and all these names, and it just like made up these new people, and it looked so real, like real addresses, real looking phone numbers. And I had to keep catching it and saying, like, no, don't make up new information, only use the information that I'm giving you. So it is often especially ChatGPT, it's very generative in nature, meaning it wants to generate things, it wants to make new ideas and new concepts. And so just be careful when you don't want it to create new ideas, you just want it to use the information you're giving it. And then my next piece is kind of building on what Joy was saying. The more specific information you can give it at the beginning, the better. So I would caution people in using a tool such as ChatGPT and saying, I am a realtor. Give me 10 social media posts for a realtor. That is so generic, my friends, that you're going to get generic responses that won't connect human to human. So it's really important to front load the AI that you're working with real information. So if you are a realtor, I want to know where you're at. I want to know what you're passionate about, your specialties, even some examples of some other social media posts you've created and how you speak. The more information that you can front load it with, the more accurate it will be to you and the type of information you're trying to get out of it. That's it for me for now.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. I will, before I pass over the microphone to Lance, who is taught me, I'm just in kindergarten when it comes from AI. That's why I invited him into this room. He is using AI in a mind-blowing way. But I have to let you know too that everyday use of AI, it took me a little while to get there. So if you're at the beginning phases of what can this model do, what can I use it for, it's very high on the experimentation, and taking your time to get comfortable with it, I think is a really important point. And I'll also ask Lance, who taught me the difference between the free version of AI and the paid version of AI, and the difference, because there is a difference that you as a user need to know about. So Lance, I will pass the microphone to you, my friend. Oh, you're muted. I'll get you to unmute. Technology at its finest. Let me see. There we go.
Okay, can you see the slide?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Cool. So I just took my my notes and I generated these slides a couple of minutes ago. So just who am I? So I'm the CEO, CTO, Chief Executive Officer, and Chief Technical Officer of a company called Ioxa. I live in Olds. I'm from Calgary originally, and we've been building AI platforms for a long time now. And with the generative AI stuff, we're building really hyper personalized things. What all mumbo jumbo kind of concepts, but I've been building with AI since the late 1990s for the Alberta government and governments across North America, as well as large enterprise. And what we have and what you've kind of heard about from Joy and Kim is that generative AI can really do things for us. And if we coach it correctly, we can get really great outcomes. And so what we did is we took that and built amazing applications that I'll show you a little bit later in our call after the section. But we're now serving governments, large enterprises, and NGOs with our solutions. And so I right now, what I want to talk about is addressing the fears. And there's a couple of fears. One is the fear of, should I get into this? Will I look foolish by using it? Another fear is, what about the privacy, right? What concerns should I have there? And so I'm just going to cover those two things really quickly, and then we'll jump back into the group showing some examples on what we've all done. So I'd say one thing on the privacy and data concerns, and so Michelle just brought that up. If you go look at ChatGPT, or you've probably heard all the names that are out there, if you go into the free version, if anything's free on the internet, we already know this, you are the product. And so they're going to use your data, right? And some of them, they allow you to turn that off. And so really go understand what those privacy policies are. Nobody likes to read them. But if you're going to use a free version of anything on the internet, especially a large language model like ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or something, you should really understand what they're doing with your information. And if you're fine with it, then go ahead and provide information, right? When I was talking with Joy before our session, she was saying, yeah, she uses it at work, but she's very careful because they have a company policy that they don't share personal information. They don't put information in there that they wouldn't publish on their website or in a conversation. So you have to really think about that. Some of them allow you to turn off data sharing, even when it's free. And so you can look for those features. But again, if it's free, there's very limited protections for your data from them. So research that. Really just kind of before you jump into one, you can even use a GPT, right, ChatGPT or something, to ask it about the privacy policy. But you got to remember their dates are kind of old on the information they have, so they might not have the most updated information. Grok from XAI or Twitter updates daily, and so their data is typically up to the previous day. But the other thing is that you can consider paying. right? And so if you pay ChatGPT or OpenAI that owns ChatGPT, you can have enterprise features pretty inexpensively to be able to turn off or even include data into the system that remains private, right? And so you're not worried about any of your information potentially being used for training of the AI. And the reason is because if it does get trained, it is possible that in future somebody will ask a question and that will form part of the answer. So if you use the enterprise features, you can get away from that. So just be precaution, like put the proper precautions in place to do that. The other fear, and I've put it further in my slide deck here, and so I'll talk about it a little bit later in a little more example detail, is the fear of not getting in there. And Joy talked about it a little bit. Just go and try something. And we'll give you some really good examples of how to get into the basics and then build on those basics to get real tasks done, and then take those tasks. And I'll show you how we build enterprise applications that you can start to think about what that looks like. But the fear of looking silly, I'll tell you this right now, everybody's using the same tool. All you're doing is organizing your understanding of something incrementally forward until you have an outcome. And I wouldn't say that the only reason you're going to look silly is by not getting into it, because I think that's a little too techy, but I think the fear of not getting into it is you have to go experiment because everyone is. There's no one out there that's like, oh yeah, I can figure that out for you in a day and you'll have this beautiful built application or something solved. Everyone plays with prompt engineering, figuring out what to do. So get into it, and I think you'll really quickly realize it can be amazing for you, but start with the baby steps. That's it for now.
There we go. I found my unmute button. It's something if you know me, you know that I need a mute button. That's for sure. So Lance, thank you so much, Kim and Joy. I know that in my everyday use of AI, I do use the paid versions, and I use my top two tools are using otter.ai to record meetings with my client's permission. That is a great transcript program that I have found to be almost 100% accurate in its transcriptions. And then I move that over to ChatGPT to manipulate it into whatever deliverable I want to provide for my clients. And why I use the paid versions, especially with ChatGPT, is that I keep the conversations. And conversations are almost like client files. And then I can go back each time I meet with a client, or I want to develop something new for a client, and go back to the original conversation, the original transcript, and manipulate, create, produce a deliverable from there. So I'm always going back into that particular file. I love it how it keeps a bit of a filing system there for me. So with that said, I'd like to open up the floor for questions. Here's how we're going to roll with questions. Please do not put it in the chat, because chances are I probably won't see it. So if you can, either unmute yourself and just ask a question. If it's directed to someone in particular, please use their name first. And if not, then we'll move forward to best practices. So very quickly, does anyone have a couple of questions that I can ask our fabulous panel of presenters? Maybe I should use AI to get some questions? That was a pun. Okay, we don't have any questions yet, but we will have another Q&A opportunity. So put your thinking caps on for questions. We're going to go back to Joy, and then Kim, and then Lance again, and talk about best practices. Now that we know that we have this tool, how do we use it? But I'm going to give you one quick comment about when I first started using this tool. I kind of felt like I was cheating, to be honest. I'm thinking, I can't believe I'm using this, and producing this and then delivering it to somebody saying it was my material. But then I had to put my thinking cap on about what I was really doing. I was using the new calculator of 2025. So I can absolutely do, as an example, long multiplication or long division. Does anyone know? I'm that old. I remember how to do that with pen and paper, right? And I also remember the days when we were not allowed to bring a calculator to school. But now we are not only allowed to bring a calculator to school, it's demanded that we bring one to use one. So I wrapped this around AI as this is my new calculator. What I put in is what I get out. I have total control of the deliverable and total control of the input. This is a tool like a calculator. And once I got that into my head, then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm using my new calculator. This is fun. So with that said, I'm going to go back to Joy for best practices.
Yes, thanks, Michelle. And I would say a lot of my best practices are very just personal things that I've done personally because I am very curious about AI and what you can use. So I guess one of my favorite examples was medical. So I don't know if many of you have like the My Chart where you go for some medical tests and then you get a response, or the test comes back and you're like, I don't know what that means. Like, it's in medical jargon. I actually have cut and pasted that information into ChatGPT and said, rewrite this at a grade 8 reading level and tell me next steps. And it is incredible what it can actually do to rewrite things that are at a different level or something that you can't understand. So I love that. That's one of my favorites, and I talk about that one all the time. Another thing, obviously, that we've talked about is text messages and emails. I will sometimes get an email from somebody that I want to respond to, and like I said before, you're thinking this, but it needs to be a little nicer, so you need to go this direction. So then you put the email in, removing, because I use the free version, I have to say, I am the product. And I will remove all personal data, but I will put the email in and say, I need to respond to this with, and I'll just put into point form, this, and this. Please make it sound confident, but slightly casual, and then hit enter and see what it comes up with. And then if it comes up with something that's way too formal, make this more casual or make this more conversational, or just tell it what you want. And you get used to, or you become familiar with the ways to make it adjust or change. I've also I do a lot of my LinkedIn posts using ChatGPT because I will tell it the photos that I took and what event I was at and who I was with, and I'll ask it to help me write it. But I always, and Lance and Kim, you probably have your favorite prompts. My favorite prompt is ask me questions until you can respond. So I ask it to ask me questions until it can actually come back with an actual personalized response. If you just hit enter and don't tell it to ask you questions, it will come up with something generic, like you were talking about with the realtor. But if you ask it to ask you things, it will come back and be much more personalized. I guess, and in the wide world of AI, I work in finance, and one of the really exciting things is financial analysis is going by the way of AI. So there's a lot of really cool things happening in AI where it could take where it can actually take your financial statement and upload that and analyze it. So all the things that that take a long time for me to do, it can do in minutes. So there's a lot of really exciting things, in my world that AI is going to be able to do at some point.
I love that, Joy. I know the financial analysis, especially if with the paid versions as well. If you're uploading documents, financial statements, and you're asking it to do ratios or figuring out how to assess the value of your business if you want to put it up for sale, it's a great starting point. Like Kim said, it doesn't stop that human interaction that you're going to need, that other pair of eyes, that other brain, but it's a great framework to get started with. Awesome. Kim, your best practices. Can't wait to hear them.
I'm going to start with business and then move to personal, because I think there's some fun personal things to share as well. So when I'm working with marketing related tasks for my clients, and note, I do have the paid version. So not the product. I used to use the free version, absolutely, and got lots of great results that way too. But with the paid version, I'll back up. With the free version, you can upload, and I'm talking ChatGPT here, you can upload 1 or 2 PDFs or documents for it to read before it cuts you off and says, oh, you've used too much of my bandwidth. Now you have to wait 24 hours. But with the free version, that's kind of unlimited. So what I do is I take my clients' marketing strategies, the documents that we've prepared using our human brains, and I upload all of that stuff into ChatGPT before I start asking it questions. So again, coming back around to that, the more information you give it, the better idea. I've uploaded saved emails so that it knows my voice a little bit better. There's all sorts of opportunities for uploading documents into a paid version of AI for it to have more background information, have a better idea as to your tone of voice in your emails and such like that. Similar to Joy, my favorite prompt is ask me 10 clarifying questions before getting started. And then it'll ask me questions and number them 1 through 10. I just answer them as best I can. And then it has even more specific information that it thinks it needs before answering the question that you're asking it. Okay, that's kind of my business stuff, but over on the personal use, because it's more fun, I recently used ChatGPT as a health journal. So I had been struggling with my sinuses being plugged for about 2 years. I hadn't blown my nose, you guys, and got snot coming out of it, for about 2 years until I started tracking my food and my symptoms using ChatGPT. AI is great at looking for patterns. So I specifically told it to look for patterns and give me feedback about how the food was impacting my symptoms. I discovered that I have an allergy to high histamine foods. So then it took me through this strategy of like, okay, so what are some low histamine food recipes? Okay, so those are the recipes. Okay, now make me a grocery list of those foods so I can make the food this week. And then I went through a testing phase as well. So this is my low histamine chicken salad recipe, but let's test it by just adding tomatoes, which are high histamine, and then see how I feel. So, I took that information, I did that experiment, and I took that information back to my doctor, because it's not a replacement for your doctor. And she was thoroughly impressed and was able to move me through to the next phases more quickly. Another fun one was a scavenger hunt for my daughter. I'm not so great at poetry. I never have been good at poetry, but I wanted to do a birthday scavenger hunt where the clues were rhyming. So I went to the local park and I took pictures of all the equipment. There's a blue slide and a red climbing area and all these things. And then I looked at my phone and told chat, I could have uploaded it, I suppose, told ChatGPT about all the playground stuff and told it to come up with clues written at the level of a 7-year-old for a scavenger hunt, and bada bing, bada boom, it was done for me. Would have taken me hours. Recipes and shopping, like I mentioned. Also a poem for my husband. I bought him a turkey sandwich. I wanted to write him a poem. I'm not good at poems. It wrote a poem about turkey sandwiches. I wrote it on the bag and I gained husband brownie points. So I think there's lots of opportunity for both business and personal use. And like the previous presenters were explaining, the more you get into it, the more ideas you can kind of have for different ways to use it.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. Well, and I know we've gone over time, but this is such a powerful presentation. I want to keep going. So don't forget, you will receive the recording if you have to leave early. But one thing I'm hearing from the presenters, and one thing as a best practice that I actually do, is ask it to rewrite. So if it gives me a document, I'll keep asking it to rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. until it produces what I'm really, really happy with. And the thing about AI is that it doesn't get its feelings hurt when you keep asking, no, I don't like this, I want this. It won't go off in a huff and need to go outside for a therapeutic smoke. It will be ready to be there at your beck and call. Rewrite, rewrite, rewrite. Okay, I'm going to hand the microphone back to Lance to wrap it up for us today.
Sounds good. So I'm going to use a little bit of an analogy to walk through kind of the best practices, and it ties together everything that Kim and Joy just walked through as well. So I like to use maybe like a house framing analogy, like putting the nails in the wood and making the doors and the walls and the windows and the roof. If you think about, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we could actually have something to hammer the nails in? That's kind of like just going to ChatGPT and saying, hey, give me this, right? You get something generic back. Or if you give it some context and you say, hey, I want to put in a 7-foot door that's 33 inches wide. Can you give me, the cut sheet for that? And can you nail that together? Maybe it's a robot or whatever, right? That's maybe a little bit more complex and you're giving it context and stuff like that. But the point is that ChatGPT actually needs the context, the structure, and direction from you. It can't figure things out for you. And that's where people get tricked. It is amazing at finessing the English language, and it is amazing at confidently being absolutely wrong. And so it always needs direction from you. And so one of the things, and it kind of ties back everything that was just said there, imagine, all my coworkers are just showing back up in the car at the moment. Imagine that you incrementally went and figured out the marketing needs for something for your business, right? And you can write that out and you can use ChatGPT or an LLM of your choice to finesse that and put it into a better structure, something that's shareable with others, maybe even tease out some of the ideas, right? Like brilliant to ask ChatGPT, here's my marketing needs assessment that I've already done, or I just think that people would want to buy this. Help me by asking me questions and giving me experiments to go figure out what that truly is. And then you get that done. And then you start to develop a strategy. And you can even ask ChatGPT, what are some example strategies? But you have to think about, okay, well, are those something I want to do that's new, that's going to be of a business value? So you go through these same concepts incrementally, having it ask you, having you put together the details. You can get to the point where you actually have a blueprint for a product, a service, or an entire business, but you've gone through it. And so many people try to jump to the execution plan. Hey, ChatGPT, go design this for my business. Hey, ChatGPT, give me the perfect thing to save my marriage, as an example, right? And putting that in, and it's all the execution plan, but it's not all of the direction and the context that you're going to get what you need out of it. So if you do that, it would be the same as giving a robot all the blueprints, materials, cut sheets, and expert insight, right? Like, what is it that we're actually trying to build and why are we trying to build that? So, and this is the one fear I left out from before that kind of wraps into here. AI can't take your job, and it actually can't do your job for you because it doesn't have the ability to have expert insight that you can bring to the table, or it's just going to be generic, right? In the immediate term that we're looking at in society, it seems very novel and really, really interesting, but it's normalizing very quickly as, oh, that's just generic. That's just the same as everyone else's response. When you start to add those pieces in there, that's what you get. So my best practice is, I'm going to go back one slide, figure out the incremental things that you want to do to put together for you. We don't, as humans, love to go put hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents together, but let AI do that for you. Let AI figure out how to organize your thoughts. It doesn't have to be hundreds of pages, but get it all the way figured out, having it ask you questions, and get it organized in a way that you can execute. Then take your execution plan and don't say, hey, go build this. Because AI has a big brain. It can remember a lot of things, but it has a window. And as you fill up that window, or fill up its mind, its window shifts and it forgets the first part of the stuff. And so you'll start to see it acting like an idiot. So the real trick is, if you can figure out these pieces, When you actually go to have AI build you something or do something like be my marketing assistant and go do these things, do a little incremental task. Say, I want you to do this specific task in the execution plan and report back when you're done. And then it can do that. And then you can say to the next one or the same AI, go pick up the execution plan at this task and move forward. And what you can end up doing is very quickly build out a full on solution. So I know we're over time. I'm just going to really quickly talk about some of the things that we're doing right now, having taken that exact same solution. So Talented YYC is by the Calgary Economic Development and all the universities in Calgary in the area. And what we built is with our product called StrataVita, which our expertise is in being able to assess somebody's skill competency. And so we've built them out a platform that can determine a student's career readiness, defines their strategies for workplace competency gathering and learning as they're going and doing work integrated learning. And it partners with all the post-secondary institutions in Calgary. That's up and running now. A local company, JPI Solutions in the automation and controls, they're using one of our products called Unifies for engineering studies. So again, we've put together all those little pieces of information so the AI can go and execute a task. It will listen and watch and get very complex information from engineering groups around Alberta, BC, and Saskatchewan and help them generate the data necessary. And as well, they're using our StrataVita for talent management. So how do I hire the right people, onboard them, and make sure that their skills are constantly growing? It's mind-blowing, and Michelle has seen this, and it is mind-blowing, but it's all based on the exact same principle I just showed you. So if you can get in there and start trying to figure out how to put the way you think organized into documents, and then try getting the AI to do little things for you based on that, you'll start to get into the position where you can go, maybe I could try this, whether it's making a new calendar app for your family, or maybe it's running your marketing campaign for a specific thing. And then we got 2 more coming up. We haven't mentioned the names yet, but we're changing what it means to be blind across Canada using our StrataVita product. And we're about to launch a fully customized product for provincial ecosystem, helping them onboard coaching. So the sky is the limit, but it's actually really simple to get there if you actually organize your data. So that's all. If you want to get in touch with me, I left the details here. Happy to walk through things. And I don't know if we're still talking about possibly setting up a workshop that if you want, we can come in and help you walk through these initiatives and build something for your business or for you personally.
That is awesome. Lance, you segued perfectly as we wrap up. So we are putting our collective minds together with an amazing group of people to, I think, do a massive AI day, which will be workshop based and probably coming this October to celebrate Small Business Week. So we're using AI to formulate the entire event. So and putting our minds together. And I know we've gone way over time, but this was such valuable information. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Joy. Thank you so much, Lance. And if you would like some one-on-one time with me, and remember, Lance is in college with AI. I'm in kindergarten, but I use it every day. So if you'd like some free hands-on or put our heads together on how we use AI for your business that's customized and personalized for you, you can make an appointment with me at the Regional Business Support Network. We are funded by Prairies Canada, Community Futures, the Town of Olds, and Invest Olds. So it is no cost for you to make an appointment to sit with me. So with that said, I will take just 1 or 2 questions before we wrap up. If you have any, please unmute and ask your question.
I have a question.
Hi, Lucinda.
What are some apps other than ChatGPT that could be used? I'm specifically looking for ones for photos or generating videos. If we put photos in, is there anything like that we could use?
Yeah, Lance, go for it.
Yeah, so if you wanted to get video generation and you add in the images and you want to build a script or have AI generate a script and then that builds beautiful video, I would look at InVideo. And you can add all that kind of stuff and build out videos. We've actually done that. I can show you examples if you'd like to.
That is awesome. I've also heard of another one called Descript.ai. I've not used it myself, but I know a client who is using that. So a couple of options there for you. Kim, Joy, do you have any image, video, AI platforms that you're currently using?
To be honest, I stay away from image generation for various personal preference and political reasons. I go back to my first blab about limitations, and I believe that, you know, nothing can beat a true photo for connecting human to human. But I like the idea of taking photos you've already taken and then using those to put them in the right order and generate a video. I just haven't played with that.
Awesome. Okay, we have time for one more question. I'm
What was
sorry,
that?
Amanda.
Yeah, I've heard that CapCut is a good one. I haven't had any personal use with it yet, but I've been directed to use it.
I don't believe CapCut uses AI, but it's a great tool.
Is it?
There might
Okay.
be
Yeah, see,
a lot of
I didn't know if there was AI in that one yet or not.
And I should clarify, a lot of these tools, like even Canva has AI built right into it these days. Probably CapCut does as well. But CapCut and Canva are both great tools.
Awesome. One more question. Last one. No. Okay. Well, I'm going to call that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me at the Regional Business Support Network Biz Bite episode on AI in action for your business. Our next episode, and remember, we do these once a month, and they're no cost to attend. If you're unable to attend the live time and engage with our presenters, you will be sent the recording. And our next episode happening in April is about why you need to start planning your succession or your exit strategy for your business now. Even if you've just started, now is the time to plan the exit, whether you plan to sell, how that impacts your taxes, your estate, your legacy to the next generation, all of that. So we have an amazing presenter, Manetta McDonald from Service Credit Union, and she specializes in succession planning for agriculture and business. So she's going to share some top tips. If you would like to check that out, I will put the link when you receive the email from me with the recording. I'll put the link to the succession planning webinar in that email as well. Just simply go click and get your seat. So with that said, thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to reach out to our presenters, let me know and I will connect you. And thank you for being a part of the Regional Business Support Network. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.